So with our handsome Mr. Allston, ready, sir? We're gonna warm up with a little bit with some find it, with some orientation to me. So we'll warm up with, again, a couple tosses. Nice, smart boy. So obviously, whenever you're starting to warm up with your babes, be it in the home front, in maybe the backyard, or in different parts of your home, or novel environments, is I would gauge, again, your puppy's comfort range based off of how willing they are able to offer previous learned skills, or also how they're taking their food, and of course what their body language is giving you. So there's going to be times where when your dog is struggling, there's going to be stress signals, for example. So excessive panting, there's going to be dilated pupils, their ears could be pinned a little bit more back or to the side of their head. Obviously, you'll see other signals like tails could be low or tucked, there could be quivering. So when you're looking to new environments, for him, I don't think it's more of a getting uncomfortable and then showing those types of stress signals, like with the tucked tail and some of that, but it'd be more so like he gets overly exuberant. So I know for some, the over-arousal is also a stress response. So I'm not saying that he can't get excited about certain things and get a little bit woohoo, but we want to be cautionary as to, are we then asking him for big boy, skills when he's really flustered mentally or physically? Because obviously being a teenager, working through those big emotions can be a little bit challenging. So if you're finding that his comfort range is kind of out the window, and therefore so is his capability for thought, whatever you might be trying or working on might be technically more of a flooding situation, or a moment where whatever he's working on, he's getting good at. So remember, whatever your dog is rehearsing, be it the good and the bad from our perspective, though they could have value to him. So for example, like window shopping, as I call it, where they're barking as things are walking by, your babe is going to find that to be either really appealing because it's kind of something fun to do. It gives them an out. It also allows them to, for example, if they were feeling a little overwhelmed, is to, when they're barking and the thing continues meandering and going away, it means that now their barking is what made them feel safe again. So remember that for a lot of dogs, obviously barking is what we've bred them to do for many generations. So your dogs will bark to communicate. But if we're not a huge fan of what they're doing or how they're rehearsing it, always think, as opposed to correction or getting agitated or overwhelmed or, not so happy with them, think, what would I prefer, or how could I set up my dog for greater success? So like right now, what we're practicing is just going and relaxing for a few moments. Typically when he comes in, he is a bit excited, but so are the rest of the classmates. So he has to also be working through some of those big emotions where he's feeling that woohoo moment, but then also having a hard time connecting with himself and with myself in the beginning. But then as he gets into a nice groove, we tend to do, again, the first few, maybe hour to hour and a half, is they each get sort of time to play or engage or work their skills, getting comfortable with the environment and getting some energy out, and with some, of course, bathroom trips throughout that. He and his best friend, Mr. Ethan, did get to wrestle for a bit too, which was very nice for them. But right now we're just building up, again, value in relaxation or going to our target and vegging. So I haven't technically told him to stay. And I know you guys were sometimes using wait versus stay. Again, whatever makes sense to you guys. Again, what I think of stay is, think about it like freeze tag with room service. So I just want to make sure my mic is not too close to my neck. There we go. So if, for example, stay has been problematic for him because he can't quite stay put, I'd almost recommend to build up your duration where, again, the chunk that he's getting reinforced for is the not moving. What some folks have done, again, is where they do stay as in stay there and I'm going to call you, or stay and I'm going to go get you. And I feel for a lot of dogs that's a bit confusing, because at one point they're being told, great job moving. The next time they're being told, why did you move? So I like to have a distinct wait until I call you. And I know we kind of dived into this earlier, and stay is going to be stay there until I come to get you. So I'm going to tell him now to stay, and I'm going to see if I can add a little bit of movement. So I'm not going to go super duper far away, but I'm going to just add a little bit of wiggles throughout his stationary position. I'm going to go and feed him. So in the beginning, if it's too hard to go all the way and do a full circle around him, Remember that in the beginning, you're gonna lower your criteria, so that way, hopefully your dog has the chance to be successful at the easiest step of the exercise. If your babe was never getting to this point yet, then a lot of times it's either the environment is way too dramatic or too overwhelming or too exciting. So remember, the environment will drive behavior. So a lot of what you're getting for responses from your dogs is actually behavior that's stemming from what is the environment providing. So if there's a lot of excitement or triggers or things that are unknown, that can sometimes create moments for your pups where they're not going to take on that challenge too well. And then our generalization is, again, something that we have to build on, where if, let's say, your dog was really good at doing sort of, so notice how I changed up the dynamic where I went to move. So if your puppy goes and wiggles, you could reapply the down. He's not in trouble, but we'd go ahead and we reset him up. So we'll tell him to stay and we'll try again. So you can see that when I moved and I was sort of out of his visual range, that's when he wanted to pivot and then head back towards my direction. So I'm just going to keep reinforcing this handsome guy and just kind of working in front of him. If he couldn't handle the full circle, do like a half a circle or even a quarter. And your main goal is sometimes just make sure that as you're practicing, you're moving around in a manner that doesn't seem awkward to you. So what I mean by that is sometimes when folks are working on their stay, they almost become almost like robotic, and they like do little side steps, or they're very sort of rigid. I try and practice where sometimes you're facing sideways, sometimes you might be facing backwards to him, so you're not always making direct eye contact, and you keep your body language just kind of more comfortable and normal. So just like your usual fluid movement for when you're walking around or going and practicing sitting at your kitchen table. But remember, great ways to start generalizing this is to make sure that no matter what you're doing, if the puppy wiggles, we'll just re-ask for this down. Nice. I'm going to tell him once more to stay. And I might give him a little moment to be successful here and feed for that. So, but let's say, again, you're trying to generalize this skill. You may find, okay, well, maybe while I'm doing the dishes, we could practice going to our bed or our mat. And then while you're mid-loading of one, you go back and reinforce the dog for not moving. And then you'd go ahead and load up another one. And I'm not saying you have to do this all the time, but if the only time we practice is when you like have the moment to do training, then a lot of times your training is only like when it's training time and not throughout your everyday rituals or routine. The moments training or even just helping your dog behaviorally make sense and equal change is when you implement it all the time. So if there's moments where you're like, oh, well, and like it's just a free-for-all, and I'm not saying that's what's going on, but if we are sometimes, for example, not setting him up for greater success by managing the environment or preventing those rehearsals, we might be not loving the dog we're by accident helping to create. So right now, Mr. A is still getting some gorgeous little tidbits for just hanging out. If I wanted to go and end this day, so before my puppy gets too bored or too tired or maybe wants to be a little bit up and wiggling, we'd want to go ahead and go back to the dog, feed the handsome guy for this very nice little staying position. And you could even jackpot him. So again, one little snack after another, several, one after the first. And then from here, we'd go ahead, we could say all done, free time, release, all set, whatever slogan makes sense for you guys. He says, good night, ladies. So, but I might go, what a nice job, and say all done. And then I tend to sort of wiggle my fingers and get him up. And he's like, no, I really like, he loves once he's comfortable to kind of hang out, which is fine. But I might see if I can get the handsome guy. So typically I wouldn't use food to get him up and wiggling. But if, let's say, he's just really stuck, again, not the end of the world if every once in a while he gets a little tidbit for taking a break off the mat. I would make sure, though, that you've reminded him by doing all done or free time or release. So it's more so most of your goodies happen here. And then when we're all done, maybe if he does get up and we go into maybe another skill after, then that's fine. So right here, I'm going to try again with another little stay. And now this time, I'm going to try by adding a little bit of movement, and maybe I make some noises. So I know there's a couple noises in the building too. I think they're working on some stuff, which is fine. But then sometimes that can be a little confusing to the dogs because they're like, where's that sound coming from? So right here, he's doing great. There's some banging in the building, which is really nice for distraction's sake. Again, I'm just going to go and try and move some of my goodies. Nice. So this is, again, another great way to help start generalizing the skill. So no matter what you might be up to, your babe still holds their position. and stays put, even if you were to go to the kitchen table or you go a little bit around the bend, let's say in your hallway. But if every time you go to move, your puppy's getting up, it just means they haven't quite figured out the staying put is easier for them, and that maybe we're adding too many elements. So I know we've mentioned the 3Ds. So the 3Ds again would be your, for example, your duration. So how long can my puppy hold his position and do well? The next one would be your, let's say, for example, distances. And the third one would be your distraction level. So if there was a lot of distractions, maybe those other two, the criteria for those would have to be much lower. So, but if you're finding they're not doing as well as you were hoping, you may just have to tweak one thing versus another and see if you get more successful setups or reps from the pup. So right now he's still working this stay. If he were to get up, I don't mind if he adjusts, perfectly fine. He can be comfortable. If they go from a sit to a down, again, if you find they're doing better in down positions for their stays, you might as well sometimes just ask for the down stay. If though you are going to eventually do other like dog sports or rally and you really need your babe to hold a particular position so they can be really good at that one, I'd make sure that you build up duration with multiple snacks for those positions. So for right now, he's still rocking this gorgeous stay. Again, I'm just going to make some noises over here. Nice. And of course, you guys get to see his lovely caboose. Last time he was facing the other direction. So maybe I'll do a couple little twirls around the handsome guy. He can be like an owl trying to find me, as long as he doesn't fall off. Nice, good job. He's drooling a little bit. He says these are delicious snacks. I think he really likes the beef liver snacks you guys brought. Yes. So you'll see that again, I'm really trying to build up that the deposits into stationary positions have a lot of great value. For most puppies, being up in movement is so much easier for them and it's more fun. So there's more reinforcement from the environment, from themselves, from even us at times for wiggling. So sometimes a lot of babes don't always get to practice the simmering down and taking breaks or taking moments for like taking a moment for a breath. Nice. So right here we might say all done. And if you want to have a hand signal, I don't want to do like all done, but it's whatever works for you guys. It could again be free time, release, all set. Let's say again, I might even add a little bit of touch. What a nice job, sir. And let's say if your babes don't love touch, you do not have to apply your hands. So you could have been all done. We could have tried to wiggle our fingers. He's like, lady, I really like being in my bed. If again, he gets a little stuck when we say all done, we might get him up to do a find it and he can break and get up that way if that's a little easier for him for starters. Eventually, the free time and being able to be up and moving is part of the reinforcement of getting to be all done with his stay. So you can see that he's not fighting going to his bed. Nice job. It should be also a little voluntary at times. So if the bed is only being used for when he's in trouble or getting annoying or doing things we don't love, remember that going to a relaxation spot, if it starts to be only happening when he is getting scolded or overwhelmed or we're getting agitated, going to his bed doesn't equal like go take a break and relax. It's more I'm annoyed or agitated, or from his perspective, it becomes the end of the fun. So I don't want him to think that when he's enjoying company with you guys, that if let's say he's being a little bit of a nuisance from our perspective, that we ask him to always go to his bed and not be part of the game. So I think it's nice to have some relaxation on a cot or a dog bed or even a crate environment. But if your babe is now getting only paired with those once you've had it with him or when something is hard, then he might start to preemptively think that going and taking a break or settling is the bringer of the bad or the frustration. So we don't want to, again, ruin our particular skill cue or even our food reinforcers. Nice. So again, we're just rocking this little stay. Oh my gosh, the hot dog. There's a little piece of hot dog that I had as well, and he lost it on his foot for a second. So right here, I don't mind if he switches up his position a little bit just to be able to visually see me a little nicer. He's doing a real nice job. Very pretty. And remember, for the stays, I don't care where he's looking. He doesn't have to be giving me direct eye contact. If I asked for a looking behavior, like a look or watch me or focus, then maybe I'd want to have it. But if you're doing like circles around him, he's not an owl, so it might be hard for him to keep those eye gazes on us if we're adding a lot of movement. So, but right now he's doing quite lovely with his downstay on his dog bed. And obviously, when you're setting this up, make sure you're only saying the cue word once. So I know we tend to reiterate to almost get our point across or to try to help them learn. Remember that if you constantly say the cue word of like having to go to his spot and then work the stay, he might think the only time to stay is when you're squealing about stay. So I'd make it where you say the cue word once. If he's doing amazing, keep rocking it. If he breaks, which means he gets up and wiggles, then reapply the stay. So right here, he's doing a real nice job. Again, I'm just going to add some movement. He's like, I'll just watch you just in case. Just don't fall over. Yes. And obviously, intermittently, you could say yes, to let him know that here comes that, food reinforcer with the lovely marking. So again, we go yes for him being on the bed. So again, we might feed one last little tidbit. We'll probably give him a lovely break because he's doing such a nice job with the bed, and we'll work a few more little skills. So again, I might tell him all done. And if again, we could give him some little lovies. Nice job, sir. And if let's say he doesn't quite get up because he's loving his cot, we might say, ready, find it, and see if he goes to get up and give him a little breather. So, but Mr. A did a very nice job with his stay. So again, if you guys are struggling with some of these elements, just check in, let me know. I know today is his last day for the doggy day school, but I believe he is in the next round for the structured play. So he'll be doing more play time, which is going to be very exciting for him. He says he also would really like the flirt pole because I have it off to the side. Maybe we'll do some playing, sir. You handsome guy.